Like many Civil War movies, this 80s flick begins with the sun rising over a vast battlefield. Brave Union soldiers march into battle and a fierce fight ensues, with American and Confederate flags flying in the background. Despite its reliance on familiar tropes, the film presents a story that is often overlooked or even completely ignored in Civil War narratives. It focuses on the 54th Massachusetts Infantry, one of the first African American regiments to fight for the Union cause. When viewed in the broader context of Civil War films, it stands out as a triumph. Most of these films avoid discussing slavery to appeal to a wider audience, but this one never forgets that this was indeed a war for emancipation. So prepare for battle and a good dose of early American history as Laramie Wells and I discuss Glory from 1989 on this episode of the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Tim Williams. So glad to have you with us. An epic of this scale, a movie that balances brutal combat with deep emotional history, requires a co-host who knows how to handle the heavy hitters. Joining us today as guest co-host, we have a man who's never afraid to charge into the trenches of 80s cinema. Please welcome back to the mic, the one and only Laramie Wells. How you doing, Laramie?
I'm good. Very emotional after a movie like this.
Yes. My intro after doing a full month of comedies and then somewhat comical Friday the 13th, this is like a big shift of tone. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it a little bit more serious, but one of my favorite 80s movies, even though it barely makes it into 80s movies because it actually was limited release in 89, didn't go to wide release until early 1990, but I'm keeping it because it's my podcast. I can do what I want. But
That's right.
but let's jump right in. We got a lot to talk about. So when did you see Glory for the first time? This is late 80s, so I'm sure you didn't see it in theaters, but
No.
how young were you when you saw it?
Honestly, and I'm not 100% on this, I may have actually watched this in school.
Yeah, there was a school version
Yeah.
that I remember. I didn't get to see it, and I was so mad because they didn't show it in any of my classes, but I had a typing class in high school, and there was like it was like 2 rooms next to each other,
Yeah.
and there was like an opening on the back end, so I could while I was typing, I could hear the movie playing in the other classroom while they were watching it, but I couldn't see it, and I was so mad. I was like, "Why can't I be watching the movie right now?" Anyway, but go ahead. Yeah, so there was definitely a movie version that made its rounds. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not
school version.
100%. I don't know exactly like what grade it would have been in.
Mhm.
Or I mean, obviously it was probably like a social studies, history class of some sort, but
Mhm. Mhm.
I really just feel like this was one of those Dead Poet Society, Stand and Deliver, those
Mhm.
those 80s movies you watched in school.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
I really do think I can't pinpoint it exactly, but I'm not gonna say first time was on television. I do think the first time was watching that school copy,
Yeah. Yeah.
either in elementary or middle school, maybe.
Yeah. I think it had what I was reading, there was an edited version, like a PG version that cut a lot of the like more graphic violent scenes and then some of the
Yeah.
language as well. So, but yeah, so this one I actually do remember going to see in the theater. I think me and my parents, I can't remember if my sister went, probably not. It was like on a Saturday afternoon and we went to like a dollar theater. So it had been out for a while.
Yeah.
And
Man, I miss
I
those.
Yeah, I know. But the good and the bad was I loved the movie, but I couldn't wait to watch it again because I don't know if it was a bad speaker system or just a bad copy, but the music was like it had this weird like wobble, like it
Yeah.
wasn't a clean audio copy. And the music is so good and it's such a big part of the movie. It just kept it kept irritating me while I was watching it. But I was
'Cause
immediately drawn into the movie for sure.
it was it James Horner? I
Yeah,
forgot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
James
yeah,
Horner.
yeah.
Yep, I know. I was already a fan of Matthew Broderick from Ferris Bueller. I knew who he was. Uh, Carrie Ellis, I knew from Princess Bride, but this was probably my first introduction to Morgan Freeman. If I hadn't seen him on The Electric Company, which I probably had, uh, and but for sure Denzel Washington. Those are the first movie I remember seeing him in.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
probably the same. I would say probably at that point.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, because I mean, yeah, because how early into Denzel's career was like how like do you know how many movies
This
he
is
had made?
this was his breakout. He had done a few other movies, like A Soldier Story was, like, the first one he was kinda recognized. He did, like, some pretty bad comedies before that, like, what's the one he did? Carbon
Was that
Copy. Uh, I
was
think he had
that
done.
oh, what's the one where is it where he like is attached to somebody because of his heart?
Yeah, that's the one with Bob Hoskins. Well, I can't remember what that
Yeah,
one's called, though.
it's
But
like
yeah, that
critical
that was
condition.
Critical Condition. That might no,
Yeah,
is that the name of it? Oh
it's
gosh,
not
I'll
that.
have to
It's
look it up,
something like
but
that though. Yeah.
it's something like that. But yeah, Carbon Copy was him and George Segal. And then I think he had done a Mighty Quinn by this point, or right after this. That was what he did with Robert Townsend. That
Okay.
might have been the same year, but yeah, but this was kind of like his breakout role. Of course, he was nominated for Academy Award for this one.
Well
Um,
deserved.
yes, yes, very well deserved.
He
So,
didn't win for this one. Why did I think he won for this one?
did he win? Glory was nominated for 5 awards and won. Yeah, he won Best Supporting Actor, Best Cinematography, and Best Sound. So
Okay.
he did win. Yeah, that's right. Right, because that was he won Best Supporting Actor in this one, and then he won Best Actor for Training Day. So yeah. So how long has it been before you rewatched it before rewatching it for the podcast?
Oh, I could not even remember, to be honest. Because I again, I know what questions you're gonna ask me, so I'm trying to recall everything. It's been now, I won't say it's been all the way since I saw it in school, because
Right.
I do own this on DVD,
Mhm.
but it's been a good while. If I were to put a guess, it's probably been 20 years, if not
Oh, wow.
more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I rewatched this one back in. I was telling Larry before we started recording. Originally, I was gonna do an episode on this movie back in 2022, and it got bumped for something else. So I still had like some of my notes. So I know I watched it then because I remember watching it and like doing some of the notes while I was watching it then. But I want to say like I had a DVD copy, like a 2 disc DVD copy, and I was upset because I let somebody borrow it and they lost the second disc. So
Oh,
I had like the disc with the movie, but
yeah.
I didn't have the disc with all the like behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I think
So
that's the copy I have because my case is, like,
it's like
thick.
thick. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was the one. I
yeah.
remember I got it at Walmart like really cheap at one point. So I have the Blu-ray of it now, which I was a little disappointed because I thought I've had the Blu-ray for a while. It has zero special features. It's just like
Oh,
an
I hate
enhanced
that.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
just an enhanced video copy, like, it's a Blu-ray, but it's enhanced for 4K. And I'm like, I couldn't really tell that, that
yeah.
it was.
That's the thing. Some of the I you know, I've gotten some updated stuff in 4K,
Mhm.
but I kinda stay away from the older movies because 'cause I'm like, "Look, you can't fake the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
enhancement. You can't
Right,
fake the
right.
4K."
Yeah.
So,
There were
yeah.
certain scenes that looked really good, but there were some of the darker scenes you could still see like it's not true black,
Yeah.
that true black on there. So, but anyway, all right, well, let's jump into our next section, our new segment called Risky Quizness. I'm gonna stick with that name until I find a better one. We got 5 true or false questions. Unfortunately, Larry doesn't have anybody
Yeah,
he doesn't have a team
confer
to play
with,
with to
yeah.
get false. Number one, much of the film's dialogue and narrative structure was pulled directly from the personal letters of Robert Gould Shaw provided by his family.
Do believe that is true.
That is correct. That is true.
Yes.
Yes, a lot of the narration was entirely composed of excerpts from his real actual letters home to his family and his wife, which they don't mention in the movie, but he was married as well.
Yeah.
All right, number 2, true or false? Matthew Broderick was cast as Colonel Shaw primarily because of his physical resemblance to the real-life soldier.
I'm gonna have to say false on that one.
Sorry, that one is true.
Ah,
Even though he was a massive star after Ferris Bueller's Day Off, he was chosen specifically because his facial structure and slight build almost perfectly mirrored the historical photos of Shaw.
alright. Well, if I knew what Shaw actually looked like, I'd probably be able to answer that one.
Right, right. All right, number 3, true or false? The film only secured funding because Jane Fonda personally lobbied TriStar Pictures to tell the story of the 54th Regiment.
Man, that just that it's about the right time and seems like the type of thing she would do. Uh, I feel like I'm gonna get this one wrong, but I'm gonna go true on that one.
Yeah, you got it wrong. It's false.
Yeah, of course
While
I did.
while Fonda was a prominent figure, the film was actually a passion project for producer Freddie Fields, who was also the cinematographer, who spent years trying to get a studio to believe a quote unquote black Civil War story could be a box office success. All
Shoot.
right, time to get yourself out of the hole here.
We'll see. Yeah.
Number 4, true or false? The original draft of the script was told entirely from the perspective of the black soldiers, but the studio insisted on centering the story around the white commanding officer.
Oh, I feel like I've heard that, but I feel like it was the other way around. So I'm gonna say false. It's
It's
true?
true.
I
Yeah.
could have swore I heard that the director's the one that decided that it was gonna get told from the
No.
soldier's point of view.
Yeah, screenwriter Kevin Jarre, yeah, originally wanted a more ensemble-focused, bottom-up view of the war, but TriStar executive believed the film needed a relatable, quote unquote, which means white lead to appeal to 1980s mainstream audiences. So, all right,
Man, 1 for
last
4.
one.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
true or false? The movie was originally titled The 54th, but was changed to Glory after the producers heard a specific line of dialogue during filming.
Oh, sure, why not? True. Of course
It's
it's not.
false. The title Glory was chosen during pre-production to evoke the Glory, Glory, Hallelujah lyrics of the Battle Hymn of the Republic, which served as a spiritual anthem for the Union. So, not very good, but it's
Nah,
okay. That's all right. All right, let's talk. Let us know how you did on the. Did you do better than Laramie on the on the
probably.
true or
More than
false?
likely. You just
Yeah,
flipped a coin, you probably did better than
right,
me.
right. And so I try to do true or false. So, you got a 50-50 shot. So, all right. I try to do well. If this is still very summarized from what I originally had for pre-production and story origin, because once again, based on true story, uh, but I did keep it as short as possible. So, the journey of glory began not with a Hollywood pitch, but with the hauntingly personal letters of Colonel Robert Gould Shaw. Screenwriter Kevin Jarre discovered these writings and combined them with the historical research of Lincoln Kirsten's Lay This Laurel and Peter Burchard's One Gallant Rush. Jar's goal was to shift the cinematic lens of the Civil War away from the traditional white perspective and onto the brave men of the 54th Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry, the first African American regiment raised in the North. Director Edward Zwick knew the film's massive battle sequences needed more than just background actors. They needed soldiers to achieve a level of realism rarely seen in 1989. The production recruited thousands of Civil War reenactors. These dedicated historians traveled to the Georgia filming locations at their own expense, bringing their own authentic uniforms, period accurate muskets, and a deep seated passion for the era. The presence allowed Zwick to capture the scale and chaos of the assault on Fort Wagner without relying on typical Hollywood artifice, grounding the film's glory in gritty cinematic truth. And last little tidbit here for pre-production. I keep saying it wrong. Edward Zwick initially hesitated about how the African American cast would react to a young, white, Jewish director narrating a significant part of their history. However, he found the cast to be incredibly friendly and good-natured towards him. Some cast members expressed gratitude for his courage in tackling such a sensitive subject. So I want to talk about Edward Zwick for just a minute because he has become one of my favorite directors. Very unsung director, and I didn't realize this was only his second movie that he had directed at this time. He had done About Last Night, which I think was
Oh, wow. Okay.
85 or
Yeah.
86. But the only thing he was kind of known for is he was one of the writers and creators of 30 something, which is a big show in the
Mhm.
80s that most of our parents watched, but we had no desire to watch. Um, but he's made The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise, which is a great movie. Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio is
Mhm.
another good one that he's done. But Edward Zwick is just a really great director. He's got some good movies he's directed. Your thoughts on him as a director? Pulling up some of his movies now.
I knew a couple. I was looking for because I knew he did Blood Diamond, and I knew he did, like you said, now I'm gonna blank on him. Um, there's another, like, war one that he did. Uh, Man, why can't I not think of it now
He
that you
did
say it?
Courage Under Fire.
Yeah, that was it, Courage
Okay.
Under Fire. Of course, me as a Bruce Willis fan, he also directed The Siege. Uh,
Yes. Yes, The
yes.
Siege is fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a big, Bruce Willis fan, so I was aware of that. I did not know he was the director of, Last Samurai, and
Yeah.
that's one of my favorites.
Yes. Very good.
I'm a big fan of Last Samurai.
Yeah, he also directed Legends of the Fall, which
Oh,
was a
okay.
huge, you know,
I've actually
Brad
never
Pitt.
seen that one.
You know what? I think I saw it when it first came out, but, like, I didn't really it didn't grab me like it was all the girls that I knew, like, just wanted to swoon over Brad Pitt, so
Yeah.
it just I was like, it just it had left a bad taste in my mouth. So I need to go back and watch it. It's on my watch list now to go back
Well,
and watch, so
he clearly had a relationship with Denzel because
yes.
Courage
Yeah.
Under Fire and The Siege and,
Mhm.
of course, Glory be where I guess where it all started.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Denzel's good for, like, working with working with directors more than once. Of course, Spike Lee, Tony Scott. He's done several with Tony Scott.
Mhm.
And now, who did the Equalizer movies? Um, Antoine F- and
Yeah. Fuqua.
Fuqua. Yeah, I was gonna say Antoine Fisher. I'm like, no, that's the movie that he directed. It's, yep. All right. Well, let's jump into casting.
Alright.
C Casting the film required a delicate balance of star power and historical authenticity. Matthew Broderick, fresh off his success in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, was chosen for the lead specifically because, as we mentioned before, he was a dead ringer for the real Robert Gould Shaw. To represent the diverse experiences of Black soldiers, the production created a composite characters. Morgan Freeman's John Rawlins embodied the seasoned wisdom of a father figure, while Denzel Washington's Silas Tripp represented the raw, righteous fury of a formerly enslaved man. We'll get into a little bit about real versus fake characters in the movie once we get through the casting. But of course, we start with Matthew Broderick. Of course, we covered him previously on our episodes about war games and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, so I won't go into his filmography. But I was reading a couple of different articles, and this one really stood out to me that that a few things talked about he Broderick really wanted to do this movie to kind of break away from the teen movies he had been kind of known for up until that point. Even though he had won a Tony at age 21, this was his sixth motion picture, and only
Mm.
War Games was the box office. That one and Ferris Bueller, I think, were the only real box office hits he'd had up until that point. So he also had a great deal to contend with in his personal life, grief and guilt as a result of driving his car into the wrong lane, crashing into an oncoming vehicle, killing two, and seriously injuring himself and his passenger, then girlfriend, Jennifer Gray. His mother
Mm.
had been seriously ill also, so he was carrying a lot of that into this movie and kind of carried a lot of pressure with the movie as well. Like he really wanted it to be successful and wanted to do well. Um, and there were even I think even Edward Zwick has got a book about, the making of the movie that was referenced a lot, and he talked about how people like in the dailies, they felt like he was miscast because he looked so uncomfortable. But he said when you think about the character he was playing,
It made sense, yeah.
he was supposed to be uncomfortable. So he's like he played it perfectly, even though people weren't accustomed to seeing him in that type of role, of not being he always kind of played the confident, cocky,
Yeah.
young kid, and this one, he's not playing that role at all. Um, so yeah, lots of respect for Matthew Broderick as for taking on this more serious role at
Yeah,
this
it was
point in his
very
career.
it worked. I mean, I didn't
Mhm,
know he went through all of that, but I mean, if he was bringing that to this role, it definitely
mhm,
worked for him. The the grin he gives Morgan Freeman after he gets them their uniforms and boots and
mhm,
all that, and he comes out and then Morgan Freeman turns around, he
mhm.
does that little smile.
Yeah.
Like, it as soon as even though you're used to seeing Matthew Broderick smile, when he does it, it's just like, "That didn't feel right."
Yeah, a little out of character there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, yeah, he did a great job.
yeah, I agree. All right, then of course we got Denzel Washington as Private Silas Trip. Denzel enrolled in Fordham University, intent on a career in journalism. However, he caught the acting bug while appearing in student drama productions, and upon graduation, he moved to San Francisco and enrolled in the American Conservatory Theater. His first big screen appearance was in Carbon Copy, I mentioned earlier in 1981 with George Segal. Through the 80s, he worked with both movies and TV and was chosen for the prom role of Dr. Philip Chandler in NBC's hit medical series St. Elsewhere in
Ah,
1982.
forgot he was on
Yeah,
St. Elsewhere.
he played that role for 6 years. Uh,
Um,
his award winning role in this ignited his decades long career as one of the most beloved and celebrated actors of our time. Which I agree. Oh,
yep.
Zwick was also oh, sorry. Zwick had been impressed with Denzel Washington in A Soldier Story in '84 and Cry Freedom in '87, which was another movie he did, but couldn't afford him until producer Freddie Fields chipped in some of his fee. But Denzel also didn't want the role at first until he realized it gave him a shot at portraying a fully fleshed out character. So I could see that. He pretty much had played kind of one dimensional characters up until that point. So, about his character, Silas Tripp, that name is not in the history books. He's a composite character. He represents the thousands of escaped slaves who viewed the Union uniform as their first true taste of citizenship. The scene where he's whipped for deserting when he was really just looking for shoes, that's Hollywood's way of showing the systematic friction even within the Northern Army.
Even though it
So,
is I do know that scene is a historical inaccuracy.
yes. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Because that wasn't, they didn't do that for someone for
Well,
AWOL.
they did, but, flogging had been made illegal,
Yeah.
like 2 years prior to
Prior
that.
to that, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like 1861, it had become illegal to do the
Mhm.
flogging. So he would not have been flogged. He may have been like, placed in between 2 carriages and stretched, you
Right,
know,
right.
like, that I read was still a form of punishment they did in 1863, but man, that scene alone
Mhm.
earned him his Academy
Oh,
Award,
for sure, for sure.
and he doesn't say a word.
Nope.
Like, man, it's so good. He is so good in
Yeah,
this.
that's why I
Um,
mean, the it's one of the joys of going back and rewatching this is seeing Denzel, like, an actor that I've loved since then and seen in so many movies, so many different types of movies, and to see him just like that, coming into his own as an actor, in that role. Um,
yeah.
and just kinda seeing it early in his career. It's really good. And his character is such a like, he really plays it too, like, he plays that role to a T. So,
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
yeah. Alright, moving right along, we've got, Cary Elwes as Major Cabot Forbes. We've talked about him in The Princess Bride. He actually took a salary cut for this role, and according to Edward Zwick, Matthew Broderick and Cary Elwes did not get along during
I
filming.
heard that, yeah.
So
Wonder
yeah.
why. Like, what was
Yeah.
it that they didn't get along with each other about? Or if it was just maybe Broderick dealing with, like, what you said he was
Yeah.
dealing with, he just didn't want
Mhm.
to do anything beyond just filming.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think from what I've kind of seen of Cary Elwes, he's kind of like a cut up, off camera. He tends to be kind of more the fun, you know, Wanted to have a lot of
And
fun off
and
camera,
in the
so
movie Saw, he's a cut up on
yeah.
camera. Nice.
Well played, well played.
Thank you, thank you. I'm here all
So,
night.
yeah. So, yeah, I could see if, like, Broderick was one to kinda stay in that more serious, you know, stay in more serious mood even during filming, and Ellis was a little more lighthearted, maybe that kind of rubbed him the wrong way, but anyway, I think Carrie Ellis is kind of like a he's kind of forgotten in the movie. I mean, it's a pretty small role, but it's an important role. Like, he has
Oh
some
yeah,
really good scenes. So, I remember when I rewatched it, a couple of years ago, I think I forgot he was even in it. When he popped up, I was like, "Oh, man, I forgot that he was in this."
I
So,
did too. No,
yeah.
yeah. When same thing when I was
Yeah.
rewatching it uh, last night, I was like, oh, that happened with a few people though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I'm pretty sure I only remembered that it was whoever the three people are on the cover
Yeah, it's
that
Denzel,
usually
Broderick, and, Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think those are the only three people that I remembered are in the movie.
Mhm. Alright, well, let's talk about it. Morgan Freeman as Sergeant Major John Rawlins. Freeman first appeared on TV screens as several characters, including Easy Reader, Mel Mounds, and Count Dracula on the children's television workshop, now Sesame Workshop show, The Electric Company. For most of the 80s, he continued to contribute decent enough performances in films that fluctuated in their quality. However, he really stood out, scoring an Oscar nomination as a merciless hoodlum in Street Smart in '87 with Christopher Reeve. And then he dazzled audiences and pulled a second Oscar nomination in the film version of Driving Miss Daisy in 1989 opposite Jessica Tandy. His filmography is too long to exhaust today, but some standout performances include Lean on Me, also in '89. What a year '89 was for him. The Shawshank Redemption '94, Seven in
Yes,
'95, and Million Dollar Baby in 2004. Wow.
and he's God. Come on.
Yeah, yeah, Bruce
Yeah.
Almighty. So yeah. While Rollins himself is fictional, he's based on real life heroes like William Harvey Carney. Carney was the first black soldier to receive the Medal of Honor because during the real assault on Fort Wagner, he grabbed the American flag after the colored sergeant was shot and never let it touch the ground, even after being shot several times himself. So, but yeah, Morgan Freeman, once again, another seeing him early in his career, just playing that character he does so well of just being that kind of wise, older person, father figure.
Yeah,
He just plays that role so well. Of course, we could talk about your favorite movie of all time, Shawshank Redemption, because
of
that's,
course.
most famous of
And
that type
and
of role.
and I again, it's been so long since I've seen this movie, but I know Shawshank so well. When he snaps at Trip
Yes.
and goes off on Trip, he says the line,
Yes.
"Well, that might not be living, but it
But
sure
sure
ain't dying."
dying. Yep.
I know he says a curse word in there, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm just like, "Seriously?" Like,
You're right. Yeah. I
and
had the
then
same
5
thought.
years later, you're going to say a very similar line in
Yeah.
the greatest
Yeah.
movie ever made.
Right. And even now in his little commercial, he's like, get busy
Yeah.
living,
Yeah, get busy living, I get busy die. Yeah.
Yeah, I had when he said that line, I had the same thought. I was like, "Wow, that's like really close
Yeah.
to his other like famous line." So, oh man. All right, well I mean we could talk about Morgan Freeman all day. Moving down the
We could.
list. Oh man, this one hurts because we he just passed away not too long ago. Andre Braugher as Colonel Thomas Searles. Searles?
Yeah.
Searles? I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, Chicago native, switched majors from pre-med to drama in college, graduating from Juilliard in 1988. He was acknowledged as the most outstanding theater student at graduation. After a recurring role in Kojak TV movies, he got his big break in Glory as his film debut, even though he had appeared in other films such as City of Angels in 1998 with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan, and Frequency in 2000 with Dennis Quaid and Jim Caviezel. He is most recognized of his roles in the TV shows Law and Order SVU, as well as Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But yeah, I remember when I heard about his passing, that's one that really shocked me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think I mean, Brooklyn Nine-Nine had maybe
Not
been
too
off the air
long
for
had
like a
yeah.
year. Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, so, and to see him in this role, like so young and just he's so good in this movie. Like, you could just the star quality was just oozing out of him in this movie. And so, uh, it made it a little more emotional to watch today or when I was watching it again because it's like I loved him so much as an actor and anything that he was in, I loved him in it. So,
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, he was the voice of Darkseid with my
oh yeah,
Superman stuff.
yeah,
He was the voice of Darkseid in a lot of the DC animated stuff.
mm-hmm,
So, uh, and of course, as a Stephen King fan, he's in The Mist.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, I big and I mean, he's so good because Brooklyn Nine-Nine was such a departure from what you were used
Yes.
to seeing him in,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and he was so good in it.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
just yeah, no, it's gone too soon. Of course, we mentioned earlier, James Horner,
Yeah,
did
yeah.
the music. That's another was taken
Mm-hmm.
from us too soon.
Right, right.
So
Yeah.
and I forgot he
Mm-mm-mm.
was in Frequency.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
a while since I've seen that one too.
That's a great movie. I love that movie. All right, so someone a little less known, but another standout for me, Jimmy Kennedy is Private Jupiter Sharps. He was from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is not too far from where I was born, and got his first movie role in 1986 with Gung Ho, a Ron Howard
Huh.
directed comedy starring Michael Keaton, which is another forgotten 80s flick that I love. He does not have many acting credits. He had memorable roles in the TV shows Tour of Duty in the 1980s, as well as Soul Food in the early 2000s. But yeah, this is like this one in Gung Ho is what I pretty much know him from. This he has a much bigger role in this than he does in Gung Ho, but I'm really surprised, especially after this movie, that he didn't do more because I thought
Yeah.
he that scene where he's reloading and Broderick is
Matt
like
yelling at
firing the
him. Yeah.
and firing the gun, like that scene is so good. So good. Yeah. All right, we move into the that guy category, which there were ones that's like, man, I know who that is. So we'll kind of cover these, and most of these are really more like cameos because they just kind of they pop in for a scene or two and they're gone. But we'll start with Cliff DeYoung as Colonel James Montgomery. He has made more than 80 films and television series, including Protocol in '84, Secret Admirer in '85, FX in '86, and Flight of the Navigator in 1986 as well. So, yeah, his character was one that I loved to hate in this movie. He was
Yeah.
the colonel that had his troop go in and start pillaging the town. So, any thoughts on Cliff DeYoung?
I mean, other than the fact that random trivia I know about him, he replaced I forgot the actor's name, but he became Brad Majors in that forgotten Rocky Horror Picture Show sequel.
Yes, I did. That was part of the
Mhm.
notes I saw on him. Yeah. I forgot the
Yeah.
name of the sequel. It
It's
was a
Shock
weird name.
Treatment.
Oh, Shock Treatment. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So, and he does a duet with himself. Is that what it is? Like a
I
twin,
believe
his
so.
twin or something like that? Yeah.
I have actually never seen Shock Treatment. I just know about it because
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
do know a lot about Rocky Horror.
Right,
Uh
right.
and from, playing Eddie for several
Mhm.
years in a Shadowcast production of it.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, he's horrible. I did hear that the real life guy wasn't
Mhm.
that bad. Um,
No, I heard he was a jerk as well.
well,
I mean,
but
it'd be
apparently,
conflicting accounts maybe.
yeah, maybe. I thought I heard that the the 54th burning it wasn't due to him blackmailing them. It was just because that was what they did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Shaw wasn't a fan of it, so he only had a small company of his
Mhm.
men participate,
Okay. Gotcha.
but that it wasn't actually, because he was blackmailing them like
Mhm.
they do in the movie. But no, you gotta have that conflict
Mhm. Mhm.
and all, so it worked, but, you can't I know this might be who you're doing next or whatnot, but, pairing him up with, Bob Gutton just
Mhm.
really, really hones in that bad white guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Ugh,
Yep. And he's next on my list, says you're there. General Charles Garrison Harker, played by the wonderful the wonderful Bob Gunton. He's
Bob
known
Gunn's
for
a great actor.
yeah, he's known for playing strict authoritarian characters, including Warden Samuel Norton in The Shawshank Redemption, 1994, as well as Chief George Earl in 1993's Demolition Man, Dr. Dr. Walcott, the domineering dean of Virginia Medical School, and Patch Adams, and Secretary of State
Um,
Cyrus Vance in Argo. He also played Leland Owlsley in the Daredevil television series.
the Owl.
Yeah, Secretary of Defense Ethan Kanan in 24, and Noah Taylor in Desperate Housewives. But yeah, he'll always be the warden in Shawshank
Yeah,
Redemption to me. But yeah,
100%.
all right, just a few more here that we'll talk about. That guy's J.O. Sanders as General George Crockett Strong. He made his feature film debut in the comedy Starting Over. He had notable roles in films such as Cross Creek in 83, Tucker, The Man in His Dream, 1988, JFK in 91, Hostages in 92, Angels in the Outfield in 94, Music
Yep.
of the Heart 99, Tumbleweeds 99, and Revolutionary Road in 2008. He took recurring roles in TV series including Law and Order, Criminal Intent, The Good Wife, Person of Interest, Blind Spot, and Sneaky Pete. But yeah, that was definitely, so
Yeah.
I was like, I've seen that guy.
He's 100% the one of those that guys.
Mm-hmm. And then the for sure that guy for me, Richard Rail as
Yeah.
quartermaster. He's portrayed the role of Santa Claus in 8
Yep.
different projects, including 5 films, TV shows, and a TV movie. On TV, he portrayed Walt Finnery in Grounded for Life from 2001 to 2005. He's also had multiple appearances across the Star Trek franchise, including the role of B'Etai in the acclaimed Next Generation episode The Inner Light. He also had guest roles in shows like NCIS, The Middle, and The West Wing. In film, he's played he played I'm sorry. He played Tom Smakowski, the self-described people person who serves as an intermediary between the engineers and customers of the software company Initech and Office Space, another great comedy. Other roles include the ranch hand Carlson of Mice and Men in 1982, the guard who allowed Harrison Ford to initially escape custody in the Fugitive in 93. I'm going to skip some of these other ones. He was in Jury Duty,
He's in
Executive
a lot.
Decision, Mercury Rising, Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, and Wedding Crashers. But there's one scene where him and Broderick are having a confrontation, like face to face. And it dawned on me that you've got the original Ferris Bueller squaring off with the actor that played the principal in the TV version of Ferris
Oh,
Bueller's Day Off. So
that's cool.
he played Rooney in the TV version of Ferris Bueller. So I was like, that's kind of an interesting coincidence there. So
Very nice.
because I think the show came out like maybe after this came out. I think the show came out in the 90s.
It's
It
like
was
early 90s.
yeah, it was
I
like
never
well
saw the
after.
show. Like,
Yeah,
I know it exists, but I
yeah.
never saw it.
I watched the first episode and hated it from the first episode and never watched another episode. So, but if you go back, you'll see a very early Jennifer Aniston playing the sister, the Jennifer Grey role. So,
Just going back to
oh yeah, go ahead.
Richard, I do remember him. I always remember from Office Space for some reason.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
'Cause he's the guy that tries to kill himself in the garage, isn't he? That puts the tube
Yes,
through. Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
That's him.
That's
Yeah,
what I always
it's
connect
been
him
a while
with.
since I've seen Office Space, but yeah, I've seen that one enough times to remember. But yeah,
Yeah, but then there's, I'm sure there's several other things where I'm going like, oh yeah, that was him in
hmm
that, and oh yeah, that was him. Like I'm pretty sure he was in an episode of Psych. Like,
oh for sure. Yeah.
yeah. Um. So yeah, no, definitely those last two were probably the bigger like that guy
hmm
guys in the movie.
And once again, not pretty much like cameos. They have like one maybe 2 scenes total
I
in the
mean,
movie. But
the Jay Sanders as Strong has like
yeah,
3 lines, and then
yeah,
you never see him again.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
At least Richard Ryle has a whole moment,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And same thing
He
with
has a
Bob
few
Gutton
moments.
and
Yeah, yeah,
same thing with Bob Gutton and Cliff DeLong. They at least or Cliff DeYoung, they still
right.
had like
hmm
moments,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but no, Strong. Yeah, we need somebody to stop these union guys. We'll do it. Okay,
yeah.
great.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's all you get.
Yeah, I'm going to craft services. Thanks for letting me
Yeah.
hang out today. All right, well, let's talk about iconic scenes. I think we've already talked about one of them for sure, but I think the most iconic scene is definitely the flogging single tier for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I think the flogging and then just the battle at the end,
Mhm.
um the fort, I forgot the name of the fort. Walden? Wal
Is it
Fort
Wagner or Walden?
Wagner,
Wagner,
you're
yeah.
right. Yeah. I mean, just them coming down the beach and,
Mhm.
all of that. I mean, that that's probably one of the best, like, Civil War
Mhm.
battle scenes I've ever seen in a movie, and that
Mhm.
one that's one that's always stuck with me, so, uh, I mean, obviously, that is kinda the whole big
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
climax of the movie, but uh, that is one of the iconic ones for me.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I read too that, like, Zwick had already, like, filmed some of the like, he'd been to some of the reenactments with
Mhm.
the people that he used, and he had, like, done some filming that he used as kind of like a sizzle reel to bring to the studio to show that he could do, like, he could do the battle scenes justice, um so I was very impressed with the battle scenes, especially at the end. So, the only other scene that I think is for me is iconic. If somebody says, you know, glory, what's the first thing that pops in your head? Of course, the single tier is the number one. A close second for me is the night before the battle when they're around the campfire and they're having like their prayer kind
Yeah,
of song service or whatever. And so I remember seeing that for the first time, like just really being like captivated by that whole moment because there's a lot in there. Like they're, they're having kind of a worship service, which is very, was very common to the African American culture, especially at that time. No matter what what you believed, you were gonna, you were gonna have that moment with everybody. Like even when Denzel's like, "I'm not really a praying man. Well, just just say what's on your mind. Just say your thoughts or whatever."
yeah,
Um, but it really kind of that scene drew me in a lot watching it, and it's one of my favorites um, ever since then. Like that's a scene I just can't turn away from. Like I have to like if I'm like got it on in the background, I'm gonna stop and sit down and watch that scene all the way through.
yeah.
So any other like favorite scenes or scenes you would
It
consider iconic? It's hard. This one's a
yeah,
hard for like a
it's hard
favorite
to say
scene.
favorite, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to say
Or
favorite,
or any that
but,
stand out like impactful scenes.
I mean, again, I think we've covered probably the biggest of them. I
Hmm.
can't really think of any extra. I mean, the whole movie is impactful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know how much of that you would break down and say, "Well, it's this scene, it's that scene." Um, I mean, I even love the moment where, um, Morgan Freeman, kneels down to the little kids, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
uh, we were runaway slaves, and now we're coming back as soldiers,
Hmm.
I'm paraphrasing,
Oh
obviously,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, just even that moment, which again, based off of what little research I did apparently discover that the whole thing about them because the movie kinda makes it feel like the majority of them are runaway slaves, but apparently
Hmm.
the 54th Regiment were
Was not.
majorly free men and
Yeah.
had been
Yeah.
free men their entire life.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so, I get, for dramatic purposes and
Yeah.
to help tell the story, uh, but yeah, just had to point that out. I mean, I found out that, I found it so weird that they wouldn't at least mention them because you got this guy who doesn't say a word playing Frederick Douglass at the beginning of the
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah.
and then to find out that 2 of his sons were
Yes. We're
actually a
in.
part
Yes.
of
I did
the
see that too.
54th Regiment.
Yeah.
And so why there's not just a line or
Hmm.
something in there to
Hmm.
indicate that Frederick Douglass had 2 sons that were a part
Hmm.
that group, I
Hmm.
I didn't get because other than, a couple of the main characters,
Mhm.
Matthew Broderick was the only real life character. Everybody
Yes.
else was, like you
A
said,
composite.
composite
Mhm.
or just completely made up.
Mhm.
Um, and then the only other real life characters we got were characters just popped in and
Pops
out.
in. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I did read that, like, there were a lot of articles which I thought was good, and I would say, if you love the movie, go and do the research, like, go and read the history about the real soldiers and the real story, because, yeah, it's, there's it and most of them say, like, even for the inaccuracies, it's still very close to the
Yeah.
truth, like, it's not
Yeah.
they didn't really stray too much, but they said they kind of pardon I guess the historians kind of pardon them for not
Yeah.
having for them to show the movie shows them in all different ages, but the real regiment was all like late teens, early 20s. They were all very young men. There were no older men in the red regime. But the movie was also trying to tell the story of like all the other African Americans that were soldiers as well. There were other regiments that did have runaway slaves. There were other regiments that did
Yeah.
have older soldiers like Morgan Freeman's character. So they were like, we give it a pass because even though they're trying to tell the story of one regiment, it's also representation for all the other African American
Yeah.
soldiers that fought during the war as well. So, which I thought was good.
And it was crazy too to find out. Now, I'm just going to admit probably the reason why I haven't been very vocal in this episode and didn't get any of the trivia right at the beginning is is Tim only asked me to do this episode like a day ago.
That's true.
Yeah, from when
Yeah,
we're recording, so I didn't
yeah,
have an awful lot of time to prep.
yeah,
But I did apparently find out that like Morgan Freeman didn't even know this regiment existed
yeah, yeah.
until he was asked to do this movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so again, just the importance
Yeah,
of a movie like this.
yeah.
Um,
And I think true, and also how the movie even came to be was the screenwriter Kevin Jafar and Kevin, oh yeah, Jafar, I don't know how to say his name, and the producer cinematographer happened to pass by, like at the in the ending credits, you see like little monument. That is a real monument that's in Massachusetts, and
mm,
they just happened to walk by and see it and read and was like, I had no idea there was an African American regiment in the Civil War, which caused them to go and study and find the two books they kind of pull and found the letters. So they pulled the story together just from seeing a monument that most people would have walked by and maybe not even paid attention to what it was there for. So, um,
yeah.
it's, which is
And
amazing.
man, to find out the story about Shaw, so we see at the end him getting thrown into the mass grave.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and at one, the just the visual of not only him getting thrown in there, but then Trip being thrown next
Hmm. Yeah.
and them laying there next to each other
Hmm.
is so powerful. But then to find out the true story about how the Confederates, they did that, but
Hmm.
it apparently in the true story, they actually kept his body on display for a little while.
Hmm.
Um, and of course, they're not going to do this in the movie, but they pretty much stripped him nude.
Right. Right.
Um, and then they threw him into the mass grave with all of the black soldiers, thinking it was an insult.
Hmm.
Only to then later, when his parents found out that that's how his body was treated,
Hmm.
they actually looked at it as an honor
Hmm.
because they said that's where he belongs, is
Yeah.
he belongs buried with his soldiers and with his
Hmm.
troops.
Yeah.
And that was such a I mean, it's already such a powerful moment at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, especially, man, when he is, because I've seen the movie, but even watching it again, like I knew he was going to die,
Hmm.
but the
Hmm.
moment he is shot is such a punch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like that's when it should happen. It doesn't
Right.
feel
Right.
like it feels
It's
like
too
no,
soon.
like it's too
Yeah, it's
yeah,
too
it's too
soon, yeah,
soon.
yeah, and same with Denzel's character, like, when he picks up the flag and starts running, then, like, he gets shot, like, almost right after that, and then,
Yeah.
uh yeah, and then Denzel falls right on, like, right on, seems like he's right on top of him, and even at that in that scene,
Yes.
when he in that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to have him yeah, to have him killed there, and then you see, the rest of them, and I even found out that apparently there is some truth to when the smoke cleared from that battle, that
Mhm.
Confederates found the bodies of Union soldiers inside their stronghold or whatever you
Mhm.
call it.
Mhm.
So what you see there at the end of them actually infiltrating and going in, that's actually what happened. And then it just breaks your heart to find out that it didn't work. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
now I do know that even though they say at the end of the movie that
Right, right.
I
It was
do know
never taken.
historically it
Yeah,
was taken,
it was just later.
but it was also taken because the Confederates just abandoned it,
Mhm. Yeah.
and then the
Yeah.
Union soldiers came in and occupied it. Um, but man, when then the next day, right before you see them toss his body and you see the Confederate flag get
Mhm.
raised, that breaks your heart
Mhm.
to see that.
Yep. Such a good movie.
It is.
Alright, well, let's talk a little about trivia. We'll start to wrap this one up. I'm gonna skip over a lot of stuff. I'll try to put some stuff in the show notes. But like I said, there's lots of research on the internet, a lot of good articles. So go research more for yourself. So let's talk a little bit about the accuracy. In the movie, it feels like the entire regiment is wiped out at Fort Wagner. Historically, about 270 of the 600 men who charged were killed, wounded, or captured. The regiment actually continued to fight for the remainder of the war.
Mhm.
Um, and then the pay strike. The movie correctly depicts the men refusing their pay. The 54th famously refused to accept any wages until the U.S. government agreed to pay them the same amount as white soldiers, which was $13 a month instead of $10. They went 18 months without a single paycheck to prove their point. But the true thing was that instead of Shaw being the last one, he was actually the first one to say um, that he wouldn't take the pay unless they were all getting paid the same amount. So which was another great part of the movie. Let's see. So the cinematic struggle for basic supplies, like the dramatic scene where Shaw demands shoes, is more about representing the era's general neglect than a specific historical event. In reality, the men already had their uniforms when
Yeah.
Shaw arrived at camp.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I did hear about the uniforms and the boots. That wasn't an
mhm.
issue because this was like a pet project of the governor of
Yeah.
Massachusetts. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
um oh, which by the way, he's another kind of that guy
Mm.
because he plays the cop that is after Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he didn't have a lot of credits as much as the other guys, so yeah, that's why I didn't put him on there, but I did see that on there, so, yeah, I think we covered a lot of stuff I kinda mentioned already that I had in my trivia part, so let's move on to box office. The film premiered in movie theaters on December 14th, 1989 in limited release within the US. During its limited opening weekend, the film grossed $63,661 in business, showing at 3 locations, so not bad for 3
Yeah.
locations. Its official wide release began in theaters on February 16th, 1990. Opening in a distant 8th place, the film earned $2 million at 801 theaters. The film Driving Miss Daisy soundly beat its competition during that weekend, opening in first place with 9 million. Glory went out on top domestically at 26 million in total ticket sales through a 17-week theatrical run. For 1989 as a whole, the film would cumulatively rank at a box office performance position of 45. So not
Yeah.
bad for not bad.
So
But
Morgan Freeman beat Morgan Freeman.
exactly. All right, now it's time to take a look at how well this 80s flick holds up today. It's the rewatchability nostalgia meter. It's our way of measuring how enjoyable a movie is for repeat viewings, along with the waves and nostalgia it brings. Here's how it works. It's a 1 to 10 scale. Any number between 1 and 10 will do, but here are a few parameters to help you decide. At the bottom of the meter is a number 1, means I saw it once and that was enough. In the middle, and 5 is a good rewatch every couple of years. And at the top of the meter, the highly coveted 10 is highly rewatchable and full of nostalgia. So, Laramie, where does Glory rate for you on the rewatchability and nostalgia meter?
This is one of those that is so difficult
Yes.
to rank like that
Yes.
because this is such a good movie.
Mhm.
This is one of the, if not the greatest Civil War movie
Oh,
ever made.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, and I would even put it up there with Saving Private Ryan as probably one of the greatest
Mhm.
war
Yeah.
movies
I
ever
would I would
made.
agree with that statement. Yep.
I mean, as of course, we get the opening of D-Day and Saving Private Ryan,
Mhm.
but the opening of this one,
Yeah.
when that
Yeah.
officer in front of him has his
Mhm.
head blown
Yes.
off,
Yes.
that is such a shocking moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and the fact that this movie, there will probably never be anything in terms of the way these war scenes are shot. There will probably never be another movie like it. The
Mhm.
practical effects
Yeah.
using the the um the the I forgot the you know what I'm trying to say, the one reenactment.
Reenactments, yes.
Yeah,
The
the reenactment performers
Mhm.
who know what they're doing,
Mhm.
who have put some, it's not just extras and
Yeah.
actors, and
Yeah.
the way it's lit,
Mhm.
I mean, even the siege at the end on Wagner, the chaotic nature
Mhm.
of it,
Mhm.
it it it's so, so good as a movie, in for all the things we've talked about, for the war, for the historical importance that it talks
Mhm.
about in this movie, for all the performances. But is it one you want to watch? Again, like I said,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in 20 years,
Yeah.
and this is probably only the 3rd time I've ever seen it, 3rd or 4th
Mhm.
time I've ever seen it.
Mhm.
Um, so because of how powerful it is, it's gotta be high, but because of this is rewatchability, I gotta keep it a little low, so I'm kinda keeping it at a 6.
Okay. I'm not mad at that, and because once again, this meter is not about, how great a movie is made. It's
Yes.
pure nostalgia, pure rewatchability, so I get it. I'm the same with you, like, I this is I have to go back to my flick charts, but this has gotta be in my top 10, if top 15, if not my top 10 of the 80s movies because of the impact and because it's such a great movie. Um, but once again, it's not one that I rewatch on a regular
No.
basis. I do have nostalgia for, but not at the level of other movies that I have nostalgia for. So yeah, so I think 6 is a good number. I'm probably gonna I want to go a little bit higher, like 6.5. I don't can't quite maybe a 7,
Yeah.
6.8, 6.885. So, but once again, but I like it's one that I've had to have in my collection. Like I think I probably had it on VHS. I know I had it on DVD. I now have it on Blu-ray. Like that's one of those movies like I have to have in my collection
Yeah.
because of its importance. If this was your podcast and it was a bag it, stack it, or trade it, where would you put it?
Oh, no, in that case, it's a bag it.
It's a bag it,
No.
exactly. So
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
different
absolutely.
different type of rating, but
Yeah,
yeah, even though it's low on ours, it's still high
absolutely.
in the reasons that matter. So yeah, so this one's a little weird for the rewatchability nostalgia meter, but I think 6 and almost 7 are pretty accurate based on the criteria of the rewatchability nostalgia meter. So, well
100%.
let us know where you think Glory should rank on your rewatchability and nostalgia meter. You can send us an email or let us know on social media. You can also leave a comment right here in the YouTube comment section if you're watching us on YouTube. So, well, that's going to wrap up today's episode. I want to thank Laramie for joining, especially as kind of a last minute replacement. had to make some changes. My original co-host wasn't able to make it and didn't want to lose any momentum, so appreciate him stepping in. So I know we just talked 2 weeks ago, but what's anything new happening at moving panels for the end of February, jump going into March? I know March Madness. You got
Yep.
a
We got our
fun thing
March
going on.
Madness coming in where we're focusing on the best villain adaptation. So who has
Hmm.
portrayed the greatest comic book villain in movies and TVs? That's going to be our focus for March Madness and our bracket. And then we're gonna look at a couple of movies that are very heavy in the villain area. And so we're gonna look at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which you will
Hmm.
be joining me for. And then we're also gonna look at The Suicide Squad. So uh, again, focus on a Marvel and a DC property that's heavy on the villains. So
Yep.
that's what we got coming in the month of March.
So
Yep.
follow Moving Panels on Facebook so you can vote for your favorite villain adaptation for our bracket. The word escaped me. All right. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss an episode. We would love for you to support the show by becoming a partner at buymeacoffee.com. Jump online and visit the website 80sflickflashback.com and our T Public store for some awesome 80s flick flashback merch and original designs. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Tim Williams for the 80s Flick Flashback Podcast. Tomorrow we go into battle, so Lordy, let me fight with the rifle in one hand and the good book in the other, so that if I may die at the muzzle or the rifle, die on water or on land, I may know that you, blessed Jesus Almighty, are with me, and I have no fear.
Such